Okay, welcome to our 4th edition of Faith, Family, and Festival. And I am here with a man that I was trying to think how old I was whenever. Because you were Kevin and Mike's ag teacher.
Mm-hmm.
They graduated in 78.
Yeah.
So 78, and it was probably, I don't know, when did you start teaching at Plant City High School?
72.
72.
The first year they had the steer show at the festival.
Really? That was the very first year?
Yeah, that was the first year. I was at University of Florida, and my college professor said, "You're going to be interning at Plant City." He said, "Their strawberry festival is going on now," which he didn't realize I was from Plant City and everything. And he says, "I want you to go down there and get to know people and go to the festival." And I happened to walk in that night, and here was the steer show going on. So
wow.
My intern teacher was Richard Joyner. He happened to be there, and I got to talking to him. And next thing I know, Mr. Simmons, Laura Simmons, was there. He owned the Orange Grove right next to ours down in Picnic, Florida. Everybody knows where Picnic is. and
look it up, Google if you have to.
Got to talk with him and come to find out, I was going to be working with all these at Plant City High School a little later on in the year. So that was, my first trip to the steer show, and I would happen to be the first one. As a matter of fact, the boy that won that year, his name was Randy Langford, and I had him in class in that year.
Wow.
Yep. And some people, they didn't realize I was born here in Plant City, right above Barwick's drugstore. I reckon it's the.
Was it White's Pharmacy or something? Or
it was right above Norma's Cuban Sandwich Shop.
Yeah, I think my mama was born there.
Dr. Berryweather, he was my doctor, and it was just a little tiny 2 or 3 rooms with the beds in them, and that's where I was born at.
Where did you live when you were in Plant City?
I didn't ever live in Plant City. I lived right across the county line in Polk County. But we always did all of our business over here because my father grew strawberries and bell peppers. We had cattle, and we had the citrus down at Picnic. So we always did all of our business here in Plant City. So even though I went to Kathleen and used to, whenever Kathleen would play Plant City, I would actually buy the little ribbons. I would put them on there to excite the students there at Plant City. Mr. Kelly Williams was the principal there, and he never did really like it, but Mr. Evers was principal at that time, and he loved it. He liked the competitiveness. But anyway.
So you graduated from the University of Florida.
Yep.
Go Gators.
Yep.
Now, what led you to become an ag teacher?
Oh, I worked in the field, like I say, when I was growing up, picking peppers and going down to the Orange Grove and trimming lemon sprouts and moving irrigation pipe. And when I got to Kathleen, I got involved with the ag classes there and had really great ag teachers. When I got to the high school, I had 2 teachers, Walt Massey and Dwight Ellis. They're both going up with the Lord now, but they kind of inspired me and some other people, to get interested in teaching ag because they knew we loved the FFA and knew we loved ag and we were involved with it. And at that time, it was just all boys in ag. We didn't have no girls. If I'd have known then, I might have changed my career. No, but anyway.
You've had a lot of fun with us girls through the FFA over the
But
years.
anyway, they kind of got me going, and I got interested, and they were all Gator fans, and they had graduated from Florida, so they kind of got me involved with that. And so even though my brother Jay lives in Wauchula, he went to Georgia. He's a Bulldog fan.
I'm sorry.
I know, I'm sorry about that too. But anyway, that's how I kind of got started from my ag teachers and being involved with FFA.
And it seems like even though you officially started teaching in 1972, you are the eternal ag teacher for so many people here in Plant City.
Well, I don't know. I mean, whenever I retired, somebody said, "You've been at that school 36 years." They said, "I don't know of any teacher that's ever been at the same school for their entire career."
Wow.
They said they think Johnny St. Martin might have been, but as far as all the rest of them, they've been to 3, 4, 5 different schools. And I said, "No, I started right here in 72 before they even had Alexander Street or any of those other streets. You had to come in off Mackey Road." And I started telling them about, Walden Lake wasn't even there. Young people couldn't even believe that, there was only one road coming in and one road going out. And I said, "Well, you could cut through some pine trees and get to Highway 39, and you cut through there if you didn't get stuck in the sand."
Yes.
And I said, if you went the other way, it dead ended to Mud. It was Mud Lake at that time, it wasn't Walden Lake. It was a road dead ended right down there. And I said, for several years, they had what they call the senior log. And the seniors would bring a log up there, and the juniors and sophomores would try to steal the log. You might not remember that because after about probably 78 or 79, I quit letting them have the senior log over there. But no, I started right there, and I finished right there, and that's what's so amazing, Stephanie. I reckon over the years, those students I had back in the 70s, well, their kids or their grandkids are showing steers now. Mm-hmm. And I've emceed the steer show for nearly 50 years since its beginning, and the pig show. Been there 40 years. And whenever those kids come up there, hey, Mr. Clark, you have my grandma.
Oh, God.
Not fall off the stage, you know. I said, well, yeah, I probably did. And they tell me who they were. And as I look around the whole community, it's just amazing. And I've always been a Christian. I mean, I didn't allow no cussing or any of that kind of stuff when I was in teaching school or anything like that.
You just had a lot of fun cutting up, though.
But
sure.
I've always found that you got to have joy and laughter in your life. You walk around, you know, with a long face and dull. And well, if you're a student and you've had teachers like that, you know, it just wasn't a good atmosphere to be in. You didn't really want to come to school if you had to meet something.
Well,
like
and
that.
that's just like people now as they grow up and they're in jobs and with old crouchety bosses. That doesn't bring joy.
And politics, I never really pushed politics on any of the students. I know some people do now, and there have been at times, you know, whenever I would maybe make some comments about voting for somebody or this or that, but really over the years, I've, like I say, I've made, a teacher's not supposed to really make friends with their students, but an ag teacher is a little bit different. It's not like a math teacher. I may have you 1 year or one semester. An ag teacher, you may have a student from the time they're in the 9th grade now all the way to a senior. Mm-hmm. And not only you become friends, you become close with the whole family.
The whole family.
Next thing you know, you've got grandparents you're talking with, and aunts and uncles, and all this. And it's the ag teachers have a little different look on the way things have to. You have to be really careful being an ag teacher.
Well, and it wasn't even just during the school year. Even it was year round.
Oh yeah. During the summertime, I mean, you know, we'd have the state convention. It was always in the summer. We've had as many as 40 students we would load up and carry. It used to be at Daytona Beach, then it was the Sheridan Twin Towers, and then it was several other places. Now they have it over at the, I can't remember what it's called now, the Carib Royale, and they've had it there for the last few years. Not only that, we would carry students to Kansas City back then. I mean, for a while we were taking the bus.
We did the bus.
Oh,
Stopped along the way.
Stopped along the way. Everybody had a good time. It was a good trip going out. Coming back, it was terrible.
Exhausting.
It was long, and people would be, where the luggage racks was, people would be laying up there sleeping. You know? And things were a lot looser back then too, because at Plant City, our campus, for the ag people, it was kind of open. Our administration would let us go out to the school pasture, you know, and work cows and work in the, if we had crops, we could stand out by the road and sell them and do stuff like that. But the biggest thing, all my former students, that's the first thing they remember is about going out to Sydney and dehorning the cows and castrating and all that stuff. And even Katie, Miss Newsom, Miss Varnum now, she remembers, she said, I'll never forget the time you asked me to castrate that bull, and I did it. And there were some boys around there, and they were about to pass out. And here we were, the girls, you know, doing it. And I told them, I said, the girls have pretty much taken over the ag and FFA. When I retired from Plant City, there was probably, the ratio was like 60 to 40%. 60% girls, 40% boys. When I started there was only like 5 girls.
And now it's even more.
Oh, it's even more now, I think. Which I have no problem. The girls doing an outstanding job. Makes the boys even work harder. And you know, but things have changed a lot in the ag teaching. I mean, it's not like it was. There's so many restrictions now, and you have to be careful with students handling things like that. And back then, like I say, it was pretty much open. And I mean, if there was any problem, it was, you know, if the students knew I was going to call their mom or dad, well, they just bust down and say, you do what you want. We could even use the paddle back then and the corporal punishment. And
it must have been pretty bad if you had to call a parent.
No, I hardly ever called a parent.
I was going to say.
Because I had parents that would, if I did, I knew the kid was really going to get in trouble when he got home.
Exactly.
It's just like your brothers, Mike and Kevin. I mean, you know, if I had to call your daddy, or, you know, it'd be all over with when they got home.
Maybe with my mama.
The Varnum kids and all of them. It's like I had the Redmond girls, and I mean, you know, Mr. Jimmy, man, if those girls got in trouble, it'd be
Mr. Jimmy for sure get them.
Oh yeah.
Yes, oh yeah.
And that's another thing. Over the years, a lot of these former students I've got, probably 90% of them, 80 or 90% of them now, they're fair directors. even got one as
It's
president.
all
Who would-
because of you.
No,
Mr.
it's not
Clark.
all because of me, but they always come back and they say, man, I remember all this festival stuff we used to have to do up here. And when the steer show originally got started, you know, it was just a one little tent set up over here, and the show was in front of Snyder Stadium, and the bleachers, Mr. Evers would let our ag classes, we had a flatbed trailer, we would go to all the baseball fields in Plant City and pick up the bleachers. And this was during school time, and I mean, it was a liability. I mean, you had to pick them heavy bleachers up, and the boys and the girls too, they would load them up. We'd bring them up here and set them all around the show arena. And it wasn't too bad the first few years, but then it got bigger. You got to where you had 100 steers, and that means you had a whole lot more parents. So that means we had to get more bleachers, and we were even going to Brandon and bringing bleachers over here. And I had finally got wise enough to know to call people like Richard Erkley and some of these people that had hay trailers, and we could haul more bleachers on it. But then finally, I don't know if it was Ken Castles or somebody came in and said, we need to stop those ag students having to do liability and things. So the festival started taking all that over with and moving the bleachers and eventually buying their own bleachers. And then eventually ended up where we're at now at the Ground Center.
You're talking about simple times back then.
But, and it's between me and you and the camera right here, I know I'm gonna get some feedback from some of the fair directors, but I have so many former students and exhibitors and parents and even buyers. You know, we kind of liked it the way it used to be. We were over in the old tent, everybody could have a pizza party, everybody could sit around and eat and have a good time.
Yeah.
The buyers could come through and things, and I know we're under restrictions now with a lot of the health reasons over here, but it's you'd be surprised at the people that miss the old tent days. And
I remember some of my earliest memories of before I even started showing, and I started showing in 4-H before I was in FFA, because Kevin and Mike are 8 years older, and then Kenneth is 4 years older, and I remember just going and laying on the steers and in the hay and all. But we would sit around on our the box, what do you call the steer box? Show box, and we would have knives, and we'd play the knife game and all. You can't do it.
Well, you may have to edit this part up, but that's one
I don't edit, sorry.
One of the reasons we had to stop doing that was because we had some young people, and I can't remember exactly what chapter they were from, but they tied a dollar bill to a string, and they would put that dollar bill on one side of the alleyway, and they would jerk that dollar bill through there, and some of our people that were coming to the fair would see it and reach over and start picking it up, and by the time they did, they would jerk that thing. And sooner or later, you know, we knew something was going to happen, and sure enough, somebody tripped on it, and that was the end of that. And that started kind of making everybody look a little more, you know, be a little more safer with these people walking around with cattle and stuff like that. And, you know, that's just part of the steer show. And then the pigs came in 1982. We started the pig show. Had 50 pigs the first drawing, and had over 100 people apply, and we drew 50. And then from then on, we've draw 85 now, I think, each year, and have over 200 applicants. So it's just great.
So how many steers do y'all have every year?
Back whenever you showed, I mean, we would have anywhere from 130 to the most we ever had was right about 165. Had 3 tents set up in front of the armory. I don't know if you remember that, but we were 3 tents set up in front of the armory. And since then, it's kind of went down to where we anywhere between 900 every year. And then when we do our weigh-in and the students' grades are checked, we may drop down under 90.
Why do you think it's gotten lower over the years?
I think the cost. Feed prices, oh my gosh, it's gone out of sight. And the steer prices, I mean, you know, they can pay up to $1,500 for a steer, and feed prices, but the sales here at the festival have always been the best in the state.
That's wonderful.
And the students, they've always made money. I don't know of any students that ever lost any money unless, you know, had some kind of a big vet bill or something throughout the year when they had to pay for a vet bill that might have cost them a lot more expense. But if they got their steer at a reasonable price and paid the feed prices, and when they sell over here, the buyers have been just great. I mean, you know, not just the strawberry producers, but other people come in from different businesses and buy. And then you have the add-ons on top of that.
Yeah, and I think that speaks volumes for our community.
Well, not only that, that's just strictly God has blessed us when it comes to that. I mean, if it wasn't for God and a lot of prayers from people and things, that sale wouldn't be what it is.
So did I hear this correct, that the average cost of what an exhibitor needs to make nowadays is they need to make $5 a pound?
Probably
that
right
right?
around there. They probably need at least $3,500 to even, just to break even. So if they're gonna make money, they probably need, if they got a 1,000-pound steer, $5, they make a little money.
I remember when I was showing, it was like you were happy if you got $1.75 or $1.30 or two something. Woo!
Yeah, I think the first year we had it here, there was 19 steers, and the Publix has been here every year.
Every year.
The whole it'd be 51 years this year. They bought the first Grand Champion, I think it was $1.50,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some steers that sold for 35 cents, 75 cents,
Wow.
and they still made money back then though. I mean, what the steer didn't cost near as much, and feed wasn't as much.
So thinking of ag and FFA, I know for me personally, FFA has been such a huge asset in my life, teaching public speaking,
Mhm.
responsibilities, and just being able to communicate with others and organization. And for example, like with the steers here at the festival, we have always had to do record keeping.
Yeah.
And so when people see this, they may think, oh, kids are making money, they make so much money per pound, woohoo. No, they have to turn in their records.
Yeah.
And what all do they have to do nowadays?
They don't realize all of the equipment they have to buy, to get these animals groomed, and the vet bills you may have throughout the year, and not only feed prices. I mean, if you figure in fuel prices, go and get feed and everything, there's a big expense. And a lot of people like you, when you started out, you lucked out because your brothers already had a steer pen. You didn't have to worry about building a steer pen.
Exactly.
A lot of these people are just starting into it. They have to build their pens, and lumber is just going out of sight. So they have a real big expense that they may not make any money the first 2 or 3 years before they get all that paid off. And I know parents, they come in here and help out a lot. But a lot of parents, they're really strict on their students.
Pay me back.
You pay me back, and if you owe me money, you pay me back, which is not bad. It's an educational project.
Yes.
I mean, people in business, they're not going to make money every year. They're going to have some bad
That's
years.
right. Good lesson to learn.
But as far as the FFA part, it's amazing to me how many former students come to me and they, that their kids are in ag and FFA now, and they tell me if they'd have known then, about all these other things going on, they would have been more involved back then than what they were. And because, it's just like Rick Lott. I mean, Rick, when he come through, he was kind of a shy type. He would sit back, he wouldn't talk. And I had him in several of my classes and got him to run for a chapter office. And next thing you know, he was chapter president later down the road. And he come out of that shell. And I mean, he was Citizen of the Year. I mean, who would ever, who would ever, and Kyle Robinson, who would ever think, when I had Kyle in class, oh gee, he was a good student, but I mean, he had a bunch of friends, boy, and they're all leaders in Plant City now. It's amazing. And it's just, the FFA and agriculture, we had a principal up there. This will probably get edited too. His name was Doug Irwin, and I know he wasn't there very long, but while he was there, he made several comments, and he said that every kid that comes through those doors at Plant City High School need to take at least one ag class 1 year, just so they'll know what else is going on out there. And he was, matter of fact, for several years, he was actually helping doing the student enrollments. And he would, if a student, and we didn't mind having problem with students, but if he seen a student that didn't really know what he might want to do, he'd stick them in an ag class. And a lot of those kids, a lot of those students, it changed their whole outlook on school and everything.
Well, and I think that's credit to the teachers as well. That you always had such a great group of core ag teachers, and you could relate to kids in a way that it wasn't just very logical and cut and dry with the work they had to do. You made it about a relationship.
Yeah.
And that thing just tied me into. That's how it is for Jesus. We don't want to just know him or know about him, but we want to have that relationship.
Better have that relationship with him, and you better not be scared to pray and ask him for forgiveness or for something that you might want, because he'll take care of you. But if he doesn't feel you really need something, you're not going to get it. I mean, that's just the way God works. And but God, like I say, Stephanie, I've been so blessed. I mean, I've had a wife that stood by me for 53 years, and I would be gone a lot. I mean, back we were 12.
She did it.
We were 12-month teachers up until I retired, and they, with the school system and money and everything, they started cutting some of the ag teachers back to 11 and 10 months. So they didn't have the opportunity to work all during the summer like we did. When we'd go out and weigh your steers, vaccinate them, help do all that kind of stuff, and that's a big part of the ag and FFA and the community here. I mean, Plant City, it's just amazing the community, how they support these young people. And over the years, and I know it's not just me, there were other ag teachers and other teachers involved, but I've had so many young ladies that's been in the competition for the Strawberry Festival Queen. And I used to always tell them, I said, man, I don't care what you do, you pay your FFA dues. And when you get up on that stage, you tell them you're an FFA member, and you'll see if it don't help a lot. And it has. And over the years, if you notice, just about every girl is an FFA member now. They want to make sure they include that. And once they get that foot in that door, they get more involved with it. They don't realize, it's just the FFA. There's a lot more things you can do. And like I say, always, I don't know, like I said, I've just been blessed. I mean, anytime we had competition or anything, we always prayed, and there'd be other teams over there just hollering and screaming. And I said, let's tell boys and girls, we need to bring this before God before you get out there. You might have a whole lot better chance of winning something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Give
And over the years, I mean, Plant City's had a very good record over the years with state and national officers. I mean, there's not many chapters in the state of Florida that's had a national president, and we were lucky to have one from Plant City. And I've got probably over 30 or 35 students now that are teaching ag. Former students that are teaching ag. Even Mike, he was an ag teacher for a while.
I know, my brother, it was because of men like you. He became an ag teacher, retired as an administrator in Georgia.
And I get a lot of feedback from all that from those students and things. I mean, it's just, like I say, I was really blessed. I've had the opportunity to work with people on the steer committee like Albert Miles and Harry Carlton and your daddy, George Parker. Over the years, I had an opportunity to work with all, and they were kind of mentors to me. Johnny St. Martin, Oscar Lastinger, and Ursel Smith, and I could just go on and on, Don Brown, and I mean, a lot of them's gone on to heaven to be with the Lord now, but they were all mentors to me. And there's not many people probably in Plant City that are alive now that I've been to every steer show they've had here. This will be 51 years. And all those people that I've worked with on these steer committees over the years, and the ag teachers that's gone on, Mr. Hinton and people like that, Mr. Simmons and Mr. Glimp. I mean, it's kind of sad for me sometimes when I get thinking about that. You said you weren't gonna make me cry, so I gotta be careful. But
I think about you, Mr. Altizer, and Mr. St. Martin.
Yeah.
Very impactful in my life, and I appreciate it. Now I'm gonna cry.
And it's just like, and everybody, we're gonna miss Mr. Cribbs. I don't care who you are, where you at. He was one of my students years ago, and he was just one of those kind of students that was like a shadow whenever he was up there. I mean, I couldn't get him out of my way, and he ended up, look at the kind of job he's done over the years. He's so really going to be missed, and I really miss him already too, because even though he does a great job, I always give him a hard time, I need to do a little better, things like that.
Well, you have to give people a hard time, because that's part of your humor too.
Yeah, it is, until my wife hears about it.
Because I remember there were many things that you probably said and did when you were teaching that nowadays, no, you'd have been in jail back then.
Barbara Frank has said you'd have been gone a long time ago.
Well, you mentioned the word mentor. Let me read this to you real quick. So this is from my brother, Mike.
Okay.
And Mike said that he had just sent you a message last week, he said, saying, "Good evening, lifetime mentor."
Yeah.
He said, "Hope you and yours are well. Just wanted to say again, thanks for being a great difference maker."
Yeah.
And then Kevin, he said that he goes, "My favorite teacher of all time and mentor. Through the years, I have given much credit to the FFA for any leadership skills I have. Ray Clark was one of the most impactful of all. I have been truly blessed to have had him in my life. I think that Mr. Clark's style of teaching and life lessons and interactions with students would never survive today's politically correct teaching environment. I only wish he could have taught my kids and my grandkids."
Well, thank you. I tell you, like I say, Stephanie, the Lord has blessed me. I mean, over the years, our administration at school, we've had great principals, Mr. Evers, Mr. Jones, Mr. Rayburn, all of them. Ms. Richardson, over the years, it's just been Dr. Steele. And
Plant City's just different from the rest of the county, and I'm grateful.
Mr. Maxwell, when he was there, they always supported our ag program and our FFA. If an alumni had any kind of event going on, they were right there. They remembered the pig and the pokes we had over the years, and The administration was always be there. Even here at the festival, the directors. I mean, I started out with Louise Gibbs, and this will probably edited too. But we started out with Louise and Mr. Davenport. I don't know if y'all remember Mr. Davenport. He was always here to help us. And then you had Ken Castles, and then Patsy Brooks, and then Paul Davis, and now Kyle. Like I say, I'm still kind of amazed at Kyle. I'm gonna just get on him a little bit. But
He's like a little brother
he'll
too.
do a good job. Oh, yeah, I had Carrie Ann, his sister, Kim in class.
So let's talk Jesus for a minute.
Okay.
So tell me about when did you become a Christian?
Oh, gee. Oh, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I had gotten the chicken pox, and I couldn't go to school, and I couldn't even go outside and be around animals or something. And I remember my mother was a prayer warrior. She was, always praying for me, and I can remember her praying, that God would heal me. And I had a Sunday school teacher, Mr. Hofstetter, over at New Home Baptist Church, which is right across the county line, and he said, if you get your life right with God, He's going to look after you. And so after that, I started kind of moving towards that direction. And I had some uncles that would use a lot of profanity, and it did bother me at that time. But whenever I started looking different directions, it did. I didn't like to hear it at all. And so I kind of asked God, to take me under His wings, and His angels would get them around me. And I reckon I was accepted the Lord probably when I was about 7 years old, and baptized when I was 8. And I'm gonna tell everybody, just because you're baptized don't mean you're still not. You gotta watch out. You can still sin and not even know it, and then you have to be real careful. So just because you're getting baptized doesn't mean you're good to go.
Satan wants more
of you,
poking at you even
once
more.
you get baptized and you start getting with the right crowd and doing the right things, He's always after you. And it's like when I go to some of the Gator games and I see all the tailgate parties going on, and I know that people are having a good time, and I know a lot of people's watching this go have tailgate parties and have some wild ones, but you need to be careful sometimes, because there's a lot of little people out there watching you, and it's sometimes when they get in the wrong direction. And I used to tell the students at school, I don't care who you're messing around with, but you always get with the right crowd. If somebody tries to get you to take a drink or take a dip or chew, right then you need to start thinking, boy, that devil's right here knocking on your door right now. You need to be careful. And I don't know, we were talking about Bible verses. I reckon it's John 14:1, let your heart not be troubled, because if you believe in God, this was Jesus talking to him, you'll believe in me. And I know over the years I've had a lot of students that had depression problems and things like that. And like I say, teachers, we're not supposed to be real close friends with students, but when you're an ag teacher, it's just something different when you've had them for, it's just like you. I mean, gee whiz, I've had students come to me with different kind of problems and things, and you have to be careful what you say, because you don't know how they're going to take it or who they're going to go back to, and so I've always had to really be careful about things like that, and everything's always worked out pretty good, because I don't know, it's just like I said, the Lord's blessed me. I mean, I've been at the right place at the right time, and He's been right there with me. So
you had made the comment earlier, I don't remember if it was on camera or off camera, that a lot of the comments and the joking you would do is because people need joy in their lives.
Oh, they do. They do.
And another thought just came to my mind, something about when you were talking about little eyes watching. Do you think that God being right here played a big impact for you to always watch what you do because other people are watching you?
Definitely. I'm telling you, even when I would joke and kid with students, I mean, there's a point where you just cut it off, and you have to be real careful. And it's just like when they're showing the steers and pigs, and every kid's not going to be first, second, or third. There's always going to be one at the far end. And when they come out, you see the little tears roll down their cheeks. I don't know. I have to get over and talk to them a little bit and say, listen, you're a winner just being here. And there'll come a time when you're going to be moved up there. It's just like when you play on a ball team. You sit on the bench, don't get to play, and sometimes you have to grab them young people by the shoulder and hug them and tell them, that God loves you and other people love you too.
Now your family, because you raised your family in Polk County,
Yeah.
so they were never able to participate in the Strawberry
No,
Festival.
we always participated in the Florida State Fair or the Polk County Youth Fair,
Yeah.
which is totally different than it is at the festival here.
Yeah.
They have 400 pigs, and they have an all-day show and an all-day sale when it comes to pigs.
Wow.
They just open the show up. But the one good thing they have at the Polk County Youth Fair now, they have an open show and a commercial county bred show. So if somebody still wants to go out there and get a prospect steer that's been showed everywhere in the state, they can go out there and buy him and show him. If the kid wants to get a market price steer raised in Polk County, they can get that and show it. And it's still just kind of open that as far as that's concerned. But I'm telling you, Stephanie, it's God plays a big role in everybody's life, and they don't realize it. Even the ones that haven't really got their heart changed yet, God is working on them. And it's just something in life you have to be careful, because that little devil boy, he'll be up there with that fork just stabbing you in the mind sometimes.
So what is something that you would tell everyone that if you've got this opportunity, and you do, that you want people to know about Jesus, first of all?
First thing, get to know Jesus, and get involved with a church or a youth group at a church. Sometimes, and you don't have to go to a particular church. Some people think, you have to go to this church, or this church. It doesn't matter if you go to Dover Baptist or First Baptist, or if you go to one of the Methodist Presbyterian churches. Just get involved. And a lot of times, before you can do that, if you get involved with the right people, they'll get you involved with a youth group. And once that youth group gets you going, next thing you know, you're getting involved with the main church. And it's just, I know a lot of the churches in our area now, they have what they call wild game cookouts. And they have drawn so many of the people that was way away from God into those wild game cookouts. And next thing you know, here they are in church. And they're accepting God. It's just.
I know Tommy Warnock does that at our church, and it's a huge draw.
Our church does it. At Dover Baptist, there's a lot of churches do it. And you'd be surprised, because a lot of them, I used to call them redneck boys, with the jacked up trucks and everything, that are probably not doing some things they ought to be doing. Next thing you know, you see them in there, boy, it just changes their life. And like I say, I like to see people happy and smiling. I don't like to see people just really down in the dumps. Even I know here in this last few months, I've lost a lot of former students and friends, and it's got to where funerals it really gets to me, and I have to be real careful, because sometimes, and God forgive me for saying this, but you kind of question, why did you take this person so young, and when they have all these kids and grandkids and things like that, but you just can't do that. You just got to believe in God and go on with it.
Because His ways are not our ways.
Exactly.
We don't understand.
His plans.
And by the time we get there to ask Him why, we're going to be like, oh, no, can't I get they're
yes,
here.
Sirree.
I wouldn't want to come back to earth either.
Yeah, the good thing about it is, I'll go ahead and probably should have put it on, but Harry James Newsom just passed away, and I just come from his funeral today. And whenever Pat, his wife, died here 5 months ago, at that point, he was ready to go. Every time I talk to Mr. Clark, I'm ready to go. I want to be up there with her. And then you wonder, why did God take so long getting him? Why didn't He, take him out then? But anyway, you have to be real careful questioning things like that. And young people, a lot of times, when they lose a family member, they turn against God. You just can't do that. No, you got to keep.
I can't imagine doing life without Him.
No, you got to have Him there. And like I say, the Strawberry Festival, we've just been blessed in this community. I mean, the weather and everything, God is just, He's just looking after us. And I mean, you hear people talking sometimes, the berries didn't taste good today, and next day they tasted great, and it's just, it's sometimes things like that work out, but
Well, it sounds like, and seeing you as well, we're friends on Facebook, and I don't know how you have time to do everything that you do, and you post things like crazy all the time too, and this week is National FFA Week.
National FFA Week, and if you look on tonight, you'll see yourself on
Oh no! Oh, I've got a picture I can show you too.
You might even see
I have Mr. Clark clogging on the stage at the state convention.
You might even see our festival president if you look on my Facebook.
Okay, all right. Yeah. But it seems like with all of this, involvement is a word that comes to my mind when I think of you, because you're talking about, you're encouraging people to get involved in their church, in their community, and with your family.
Mhm.
You're always involved with them. It's just things are about a relationship for you.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a relationship. It's just like anytime they have any kind of meetings, Chamber of Commerce meetings or breakfasts or things like that, if you get a chance and you're invited, go get out there
Yeah.
and see those people and talk
Yeah.
to them. And it's like last year they let me do the auctioneer from Strawberry Ball. And I've never been a Strawberry Ball person in my life. I'm telling you, but
Well, I'll be there this year. Maybe you'll.
they
get
talked
back
me
out
into
there.
doing it. You know, we ended up raising, gosh, I don't know, $60,000 or $70,000, and I couldn't believe that. But and I really enjoyed it. My wife really enjoyed it. See, but it was really something to draw that much money in to be able to give to those people that really need it. You know, and those kids and things.
So what's next for you?
Oh, I don't know. I live from day to day. I just bless God for letting me wake up and take a breath every morning. And like I say, we have a small cattle herd up here north of Lakeland, and there's some game on it, and I feed all the game for my grandkids and kids, and they don't even hunt no more, so I just like seeing them.
And that's something I remember a few years back. Your pastor, is it still Justin? Is that his name? At your church?
Justin Stewart.
I told him years ago when I was talking to you about I wanted to do an interview with Mr.
Yeah.
Clark.
Mhm.
He was like, "Oh well, I'll tell you," and he started telling me about how generous you are and having the youth go out there and you take people on hunts, and he was very complimentary of you.
Yeah, a lot of people, they don't have their daddies like me and you did, you know, growing up. And Justin, he's really some pastor. I mean, I got the property and stuff, and I just said, Justin, you're going to guide them to go out anytime you want to with them. And then the little kids, I mean, you know, even if they don't kill anything, if they see those red birds and the squirrels and things, they're just amazed. I mean, you know, and they would never have an opportunity to do that, you know, if they didn't have a place to go and somebody to take them. And no, I mean, you know, what I've got belongs to God, so I'm gonna let anybody use it that wants to. And
That's good.
you have to be that way.
Good attitude. And you know what? I didn't even pass that on you into your arms.
That's another story. I'll go ahead and let you know. Many years ago, I always went and looked at all the student steers. I always wanted to do that during the summer and during the fall before the fair got here. And one day I happened to drive way down there on Welcome Road, and I was looking at Stephanie's steer, and Miss Bender happened to be with me, and her mama was there too. But somehow or another, they had got off to where the steers were at. I had come back to my truck, and me and Stephanie was talking, and next thing I know, she passed out. So here I am, her front yard, cars going by. Here I am holding her in my arms. She's passed out. Nowadays, I'd probably be fired. Because everybody's going, what in the world was that teacher doing with that girl out there? But I can't remember why you passed out.
I have no
I
idea.
don't know either, but
That's just the effect that you have on me, Mr.
I don't know about that. I mean, we're talking 40 years ago more, and it's still
Yeah.
kind of just,
It
oh
was a
my
long
gosh.
time ago.
And, I've never forgotten that. And I've got some other stories about some things, but anyway,
Well, I'm
that
grateful.
was my most exciting.
Well, I am grateful that you got to do Faith, Family, and Festival with me, and I could sit here and talk for another 2 hours to you. Besides the background, but anytime you get kindred spirits in the Lord together, you just want to keep talking anyhow.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I could keep on talking, especially if I start bringing up former students. I mean, you got
Yeah.
people like Derry Dykstra and Nate Davis. I mean, who would ever thought they'd be there? No, just kidding. Good students, but I mean, it's just, I mean, I reckon it's like part of Plant City. I mean,
You are.
I can't go nowhere. We went to Hawaii several years ago. As soon as we got off the plane, hey, Mr. Clark, what are you doing here?
My word.
And we were in Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii. And
Oh, goodness.
anytime I go to Georgia, I mean, I can't go into Buc-ee's or anything without somebody, what are you doing up here, you know?
Well, you're going to have to take me to Buc-ee's.
You'd enjoy that, yeah.
I know. I confess that I've never been to Buc-ee's.
That's hard to believe.
It's hard to
It is.
believe.
But
Well,
anyway, I've enjoyed this, and I
I'm
know.
grateful for you, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you and your sweet
Well,
wife. And
Oh yeah, like I say, she's
she's
over
a saint.
53 years. She is. I'm telling you, she's let me go and do what I wanted to, and always. If we ever went to a convention, she was right there with me because I wanted her to be there.
Yeah.
She's a prayer warrior too. I can tell you, she was praying for me to do this today.
That's good. That's good. Thank
Oh,
you.
gee. And hopefully everybody that watches this, I love all of you. I mean, I love Plant City and the Strawberry Festival and everybody. And all you students that I might have paddled back in the early days, you know, you probably needed it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Look
Yeah.
at you now.
Oh, gee.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
Appreciate it.